you have to dream big, you have to work hard, and you have to give back. I've taught that to my elementary, middle, and high school students when I was a tutor in a tutoring business. I'm teaching that to my undergraduate students now. But that principle exists in entrepreneurship. If you understand your value, you can be a dreamer and build something that can include everyone else. You work hard to get that. And then your give back is building opportunities for other businesses to thrive underneath you.
Money don't grow on trees, but I still believe I can achieve. Cause cash rules everything around me, around me, around me, around me. Money don't grow on trees, but I still believe I can achieve. Cause cash rules everything around me, around me, around me, around me. Money don't grow on trees, but I still believe that I can achieve. Cause cash rules everything around me, around me, around me, around me.
Hey, good people. This is Jerome Love, host of the Black Money Tree podcast. And I'm so excited, as I always am. We have another episode. We are here at UNT Dallas with a serial entrepreneur, a brother that I've known for many years, the CEO and founder of Culture LLC, Mr. Matt Houston. Matt Houston, welcome to the Black Money Tree podcast.
Jerome, it's great to see you, Chief. Thank you for all that you do, and I'm excited to be on this podcast.
Awesome. So first thing, and me and you were talking about this a little bit off camera.
Yeah.
You are an entrepreneur. You're a serial entrepreneur. Collaborative Culture LLC, what is it? Tell us what that is and what you do.
So I am a serial entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 13, right? And so Collaborative Culture LLC is one of my businesses. It is a professional services firm that I provide framework or strategy consulting to real estate developers, to educational entities, or to businesses to maximize their productivity. In real estate, I work with the pre-development phases, whether it's establishing TIFs, municipal management districts, a lot of tools that can help catalyze economic development activities. I also provide community liaisoning with community members, elected officials, as well as developers so that we can build the best products possible. So Collaborative Culture LLC provides all of those skill sets to better Dallas and North Texas.
So I got a couple questions that I have off of that.
Yeah.
Specifically with Collaborative Culture, it sounds like you deal primarily in real estate. Do you have a real estate license? And how did you learn the real estate business, the real estate game? Where did you learn that?
It's funny you say that. It's a part of the entrepreneurial journey. It's a little bit about being in the right place and being prepared when you're at that place to step up. No, I am not a traditional real estate broker or an agent. I typically work on the developer side. The developer is someone who creates a master plan or a large vision. They're essentially the dreamer of a product. And once that product is dreamt, then you have to create some type of plans so that you can hire the real estate agent or the brokers or those companies to fall in line there. Me, with my background in economics and me understanding operations and building systems, I kind of helped that developer create those systems. And so I was able to do that while being in a space. I had an education. I was executive director of an education company called Group Excellence, and we tutored across the state of Texas. We were in 16 markets in the state, and we were expanding nationwide. And I was going to state legislatures across the country, California, Texas, etc. And I met with people in Texas on building something in my neighborhood. I gave them some sound advice, some sound data, and they said, wow, that was pretty interesting. No one has given me that perspective. Can you provide me, what's your invoice? I said, excuse me? I was like, I'm not in real estate. He said, well, yes, you are. You're in it now. And so I just learned the real estate space just by being able to accurately state things to this real estate developer that could have cost him millions of dollars in development costs. And so he hired me, and I learned real estate from that point on.
You know, the interesting thing about that is I always tell people in business, the essence business is simple. It's solving a problem and meeting a need. That's all it is.
That's it.
And you solve the problem and there was value in that. And I tell them solve a problem, meet a need at a profit, you know.
Right.
So you saved this person money and he saw value in that and then you were able to get compensated. Would you say that's pretty much accurate?
That is bare bones. That's what happened.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me about this business at 13 years old. I'm very interested to know about how did
Well,
you start a business?
I would say it's super exciting in that, I was featured, I was the viral moment as a teenage prodigy, as an entrepreneur, but that wasn't the case.
Okay.
My father, who was a serial entrepreneur and business advocate, had a policy at his house that everyone, hold their end of hold their weight in the family, right?
Yeah.
And so at 13, he stopped giving allowance. But what he did was give us business opportunities. So my brother and I, my brother was older, and myself, when we were 13, he would give us a lawnmower. He would loan us a 5-gallon tank of gas and a 1-gallon tank of gas and oil mix so that you can fuel your 2-cycle, whatever equipment there, and then you can fuel your lawnmower. And said, you can cut our yard. You can cut my yard on Saturday mornings, and I'll give you the list so that you can cut neighbor's yard so that you can build your money for the entire year. You have 3 months to build your money for the entire year because you're not going to cut while you're in school. You're not cutting yards while you're in school.
Yeah.
So you have May, June, and July to determine your economic future.
Yeah.
And that was my first step into entrepreneurship. I had to learn how to stretch 3 months worth of money throughout the year. And I wasn't a fan of cutting yards. So I wasn't this natural outdoorsman, right?
Yeah.
I didn't wake up at the crack of dawn just so that I can landscape and things.
Yeah.
So I had to make some choices.
Yeah.
I decided to maximize cutting yards from 7 a.m. until noon, because it started getting hot after 1 o'clock. And I had to find some creative ways to make money to supplement the amount that I missed during the summer.
Yeah.
So during the school year, some of the money that I would take from the yard cutting, I would go to Sam's, I'd buy honey buns, or I'd buy candy, and I would sell it to my classmates. So I would use that pot of money to kind of stretch out the money throughout the year. So it's not sexy, but it helped me budget. It helped me understand the principle of scarcity. It also allowed me to understand how I can build a reputation, because you build your money on your reputation and on the comeback of your product.
Yeah.
If you're consistent, if you have a smile on your face, and you are providing something that people need, you will be able to have customers.
Yeah.
And so those are the things that I learned at 13 that I didn't understand at the time.
Yeah.
But as I learned from books, as I attended classes in undergrad and started doing business on my own, I realized my dad taught us that at a very young age.
So a couple questions there. Your dad, you say he was a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
Tell me about his business ventures, and then tell me how involved was he in your business? Did he just give you the tools and say you on your own, or was he actively advising you, giving you suggestions, or mentoring you along the way?
Well, a brief history of my father. He's a product of Taylor, Texas. It's outside of Austin. He attended Prairie View A&M College, where he and my mom met. Got his degree in mathematics, pre-civil rights. Joined the service, honorably discharged in 1968, and became a corporate lender for Chase Manhattan Bank in New York City. I say all of that to say he was one of the first generation Black corporate people in this post-segregation or post-civil rights type era. He turned entrepreneur in the 70s and business advocate, so that Black business owners, or so that Black people can build economic ecosystems. That was his thesis when he was at Prairie View in mathematics, and his thesis in grad school at NYU, in which how the African American community, or at that time the Negro American community, can build their own ecosystem to contribute to this capitalistic system.
Yeah.
And so all of that's the framework of a 13-year-old saying,
Yeah.
what am I going to do with this lawnmower and this
Yeah,
gas,
yeah.
right? And so he provided advisory support. He
Okay.
gave me a client list, starting with him.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
Yeah.
He provided references to houses that could be beneficial for me to cut, meaning minimal hills, maximum lawn coverage so I can charge,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Maximum profit. And he gave me access to those type of
Yeah.
networks. And also, he just was a great confidant in terms of trying to troubleshoot. When I was in college, I purposely didn't tell him of our business
Yeah.
because he understood, but my mom and he had a very interesting discussion while I was matriculating at SMU because they thought my value there was to get a good job. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was on track. I was interning at an investment company. Shouts out to Brandy Mickens, who's now VP of AXA. She offered me an internship. A black woman who was in finance offered me an internship where I was getting paid $25 an hour as an undergraduate student. And their company were interested in me and they were giving me offers and things of that nature. And I chose the entrepreneurial route. Well, that caused family clash because that's not why I went to school.
Yeah.
My dad said that's exactly why he went to school.
Yeah.
Because he's at an institution that builds a network which provides value. And if you're plugged into a place that has value and you're able to create a product for that particular population, you'll always be successful.
Yeah.
And so he gave me those type of principles, but it wasn't this overarching, I'm your business instructor.
Yeah.
Because I probably wouldn't have listened to him in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was very, very he was very slick with that.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that.
So tell me, you have 2 children now. They're quite young.
I have a almost 3-year-old and an almost 1-year-old.
So you have not gotten to the point where you're formally training and teaching them. So the question is, what principles did you extrapolate from what your dad did that you're going to pass along in terms of teaching your kids? And really, for those out there listening that are raising their kids and want them to be more entrepreneurially savvy, understand money, what are some of the tips that you would give them that you're going to do with your kids to make sure that they understand the principles of money and finance? And even if they don't start their own business, but they're on a path where they can be more successful.
Well, the first thing I would like to implement is to be present. One thing that my father and my mother did was to make sure we were included in some way in whatever entrepreneurial thing they were doing. Growing up, I thought they were family vacations. As I mature, I realized, we're just going to my dad's annual conferences at another city.
Yeah.
So it's vacation for me. I'm in Vegas going to circus.
Yeah.
While my dad is in the middle of business meetings, trying to conduct things, right? But those types of scenarios allow me to meet uncles and aunts, the village, right? That were all entrepreneurial minded, so that it can help develop me, right? So just being in the proximity of that. The second thing that they both did were their intentionality. They were very clear to share our goal is to be the best and our goal is to build our community. Those are the 2 overarching things I want you to understand. And I want to pass that on to my children, right? I don't want to have an expectation for my kids to be in a particular market because honestly, the market that's going to be prominent in the next 20 years does not exist yet. And so I want my kids to be able to feel connected to us so that they can trust us and we can build. And secondly, I want them to be able to think critically so that they're able to pivot and to be able to survive in whatever environment that they're in. And I think that my parents did a pretty decent job with that. With me, I've made some mistakes, but based on what I hear from other people who know my dad in this space, I think it's consistent, and that's all I shoot for.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about education. We talked once again offline about an entrepreneur. And an
Right.
entrepreneur is that creator. Sometimes they can't be contained. They're not in a box.
Right.
But to me, when I see you, while I see an entrepreneur, I also see a tremendous businessman. You have been educated, you've been trained, you know how to create systems. So you're not creating hustles,
Right.
mom and pop, and you're building businesses. Talk a little bit about the role of education in helping you to be successful in business. And when you look at the price tag on a lot of these universities, and I hate to say this, we're sitting in one right now. Is it really worth it? And what did you gain from your education? So it's a lot of questions, but
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that.
Well, those are all great questions,
Yeah.
because all of them are very relevant in our society today. I'm glad that we're sitting here at UNT Dallas, because this is one of the most affordable colleges in the nation. I think it's the second most affordable college in the state, and its intention is to be able to break that financial barrier, because you're absolutely right. Higher ed has been corporatized, and in that, as a principle, that can be a hindrance to people who don't have access to capital
Yeah.
or access to resources. But education is important, because it helps you build critical thinking skills, right? I tell all of my students this: you don't need an undergraduate degree to be an entrepreneur. I'm not here to teach you how to be a great business. I'm here to be a living proof that if you learn these particular principles in whatever discipline that you're in, whether it's accounting, whether it's marketing, whether it's statistics, whether it's social services, if you're able to utilize all of those skill sets that you learn into a vision that can build you and your own ecosystem, then I've done my job, right? And so I view this as a ministry for me.
Yeah.
Right. My mom is a retired educator. She's a public school teacher for decades here in Dallas. And like I said, my dad's an entrepreneur. So blending those principles and those careers kind of led me here, as well as the opportunity to build in urban planning and in real estate on this campus, as I'm actively involved in building the Urban Plan Institute here, as well as building real estate opportunities so that my undergraduate students can be a part of market changing things that's happening nearby in the foreseeable future.
You know, I think you and I had a very similar path. I think we think the same, we would articulate it different.
Mm-hmm.
So let me say this. I went to college. My dad didn't go to college, so he wanted me to have my education. So when I went to college and I got an internship, a good job, I realized I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So then I became an entrepreneur when I was 19. And I guess they thought it was a fad. And when I graduated and said, I'm about to start selling t-shirts, and he said, boy, you wasting your good education, you know?
Yeah.
So he wasn't necessarily for it. When he retired and the first time he came to Texas Black Expo and he saw Congressman Sheila Jackson Lee and the mayor and all of these people, I think he saw it differently and he saw, okay, well, this boy is on to something. So, but back to the education piece. I made 2 Ds when I was in college, 3 actually, and it was my final semester. Why? Because I had started my business and I had determined this isn't going to help me.
I totally resonate with that.
I disengaged from education. Now, with that said, though, I have a daughter at Howard, finance major.
Mm-hmm.
I have a daughter at Sam Houston State, supply chain major, and I have a daughter at North Carolina A&T, accounting major.
Mm-hmm.
And what I told them they all say they want to have their own business. But what I told them, it kind of sounds like what you're saying. Get a skill set that will help you in running your business. See, the thing my parents taught me was just go to college.
Right.
Which it was magically gonna make you money.
Well, but that's the best that they had with the tools based on what you said. And it was the right direction.
Yeah.
Right. It was, I call it the course correction rather than the fine focus, right?
Yeah.
They course focused you. They did the large training. Look, if you go to this educational system, you will be amongst people that can give you opportunities to be successful.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I tell you. The biggest thing I felt like I got out the University of Texas Austin was my network.
Yep.
My board members, some of my sponsors. I met them through the University of Texas at Austin.
Yeah.
So the network was what I got. But I will say my parents saved their money, worked hard, so they paid for my college education cash, no student loans. So they gave me a leg up there.
It's funny that you say that because, well, one, shouts out to University of Texas as you all's president will be our new president at SMU.
Okay.
I say that because the previous president at SMU, Gerald Turner, is the prototype of someone introducing me into a network to build my business mind. He still remembers me to this day, right? I attended school there over 20 years ago. I saw him at Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson's state funeral here, and he literally said my name out the bat.
Yeah.
And that lets me know that, oh, okay, the higher educational space allows you to build networks that you can build whatever value in. I say all of that to say, it's really key to be able to have those type of entities in the network, and understand why you go to schools, right?
Yeah.
My goal, my mission in life is really to build Black business ecosystems all over the world. And in order to do that, you have to dream big, you have to work hard, and you have to give back. I've taught that to my elementary, middle, and high school students when I was in a tutoring business. I'm teaching that to my undergraduate students now. But that principle exists in entrepreneurship. If you understand your value, you can be a dreamer and build something that can include everyone else. You work hard to get that. And then your give back is building opportunities for other businesses to thrive underneath you. Something that your parents see you doing today with this expo and this podcast. So I want to applaud them. I want to applaud you in that.
So thank you.
Yeah, no
Now,
worries.
we're here at UNT Dallas.
Yes.
You are a professor. Tell everybody you're a professor, entrepreneurship, I believe leadership. Tell everybody what you do.
Okay.
And then I want to know, you're an entrepreneurship instructor or professor, I believe. So I want to know what are most of your students coming to your class? What are they looking for? Do they have business ideas? Have they just heard that entrepreneurship is a thing? So I'm gonna go to this class. Talk a little bit about that.
Got you. So my official title here, I am a lecturer at the School of Business at UNT Dallas in the management department. I teach entrepreneurship. I also teach leadership, operations management, social entrepreneurship, and topics in entrepreneurship. Most of my students are upperclassmen, juniors or seniors, who have taken a lot of their prerequisite courses. They've been accepted to either the business school or they have the business as a minor, and they are interested in learning about entrepreneurship. So my foundations in entrepreneurship course are people who have no idea what entrepreneurship is. So I kind of give them a crash course in it. A lot of them are from the area. They like the social entrepreneurial model, which is a hybrid model that was developed in the mid to late 90s out of NYU and Stanford, but it's become more prevalent, particularly as social media is picked up and people are being able to monetize things in their homes and can give back into micro economies. And so I'm doing research on social entrepreneur ventures in which a lot of our students who are predominantly Hispanic or Latinx and African American, Black, attend here. And they want to give back to their homes. They have their parents have small businesses that they want to ramp up, that they typically hire their family members to be employees. And so I give them tools so that their businesses can kind of grow, or they can be a positive attribute to a professional or corporate setting.
So the theme of Texas Black Expo this year is connecting for contracts. And we are bringing together, because a lot of wealth is transferred through government entities and government contracts. And a lot of times our small businesses aren't prepared and aren't in position to get these contracts. So talk a little bit about the significance. And if I'm not mistaken, correct me, your dad had some various business ventures working with the city and the airport and
Yeah,
getting
so
contracts. So talk a little bit about the importance of contracts, some of the things that you think our businesses are missing
mhm.
that is hindering us from being able to get some of these lucrative contracts.
Well, you're absolutely right. And so contracts are essentially the catalyst for building business ecosystems, right? The reason why governments, whether it's the federal government, state government, or local governments, can provide tax dollars that you invest in to businesses is so that those businesses can hire people within the community. It's important for a population that is 12 to 13% of, of a population like blacks are in Texas to be a part of that ecosystem. Texas has one of the healthiest economies in the world, right? Yet our businesses only get less than 1% of our contracts here. That is an indicator, that's a signal that there's disinvestment in black communities. And in a capitalistic system, people in those spaces are trending to die. That's 30,000-foot level, taking it down to the ground. If you don't have a business, you don't have freedom. If you don't have freedom to hire your friends or hire people who you trust that can keep money in the tent so that your family can grow, so that your kids can go to the educational opportunities they can, or can participate in extracurricular activities to develop their minds. If you lose that opportunity to do that, which business ownership gives you that opportunity, then you will forever be, I would not say a slave, but a slave to something.
Yeah.
And so entrepreneurship is my key to freedom. That's what my dad taught me. And there's proof. America is built on this grit, on this dream that if you have the right plan, if you have the right work ethic, and you're at the right place, then you, your kids, and your kids' kids can all benefit.
Yeah.
Historically, black people have not been a part of that dream. We've talked about that offline on other topics. This is the same, and it's our responsibility to at least show the world an objective view so that we can all work together and operate in this ecosystem.
So what do you think the primary reason that there's such a small percentage of these African American, black and brown businesses getting these contracts? Is it the fact that it's a small few controlling it and want to keep it in their community, or is it a lack of preparation, a lack of ability to perform by the small businesses?
So there's not one causation, right? There's not, you can't point one, two, or even three fingers at people to say that's the absolute reason why. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. It's factors of our history and the lack of acknowledgement, right? Our government entities, particularly in Texas and other states, are fighting truth, right? They are trying to teach the population that slavery didn't exist. If that is an underlying truth, then that challenges every type of advocacy that a person of color or that a woman or that from anyone from any type of group can challenge. They need to have some access, right? That is being attacked right now in various ways. If you don't address that, if you don't address truth, then you won't be able to effectively build systems.
Yeah.
And so I just want to attack that first
Okay.
as an advocate. But finish to ask the other part of the question. I want to make sure.
The second part was the preparation of our businesses.
Yes.
Is it because
So
we're not
it is-
prepared, or is it because we're not given the opportunity?
So I think, so I'll answer both of those. One, you stated earlier that I don't have this hustler mentality. A lot of that is based on my self insecurity, right? As a serial entrepreneur, my peers who are intellectually equivalent to me view me as the hustler, right? Because I didn't take a traditional corporate route that will lead me to a professional program to be on track for an executive VP position, right? I instead buy and sell companies and try to find this cyclical pattern of wealth building, and it doesn't translate well to your contemporaries, and so that's difficult. Um, Businesses tend to, if we're in the hustle mentality, don't build that infrastructure. And so that's why at UNT Dallas and my involvement with the Dallas Black Chamber and the Texas Association of African American Black Chambers, I want to advocate and provide those type of educational opportunities so that people can translate their hustle into a scalable and repeatable business.
Yeah.
If you're able to do that, you're no longer a hustle person. You are scaling businesses.
Yeah.
And when you're able to scale businesses, you attract people who have long money, like corporations or investment portfolios who are looking to invest in people 10, 15, 20 years down the line. And they can look at Black-owned businesses and say, oh, you have 5 years of consistent financials and you're consistently doing this. You must be serious about your business. Let me give you a shot to ramp this, what you've done from 0 to 5, 6 to 15 by using this amount of cash.
Yeah.
And so we have to get to a place where, one, Black businesses understand that. Two, Black businesses are advocated for so that we can be in those spaces. And that's why having meeting groups between corporate heads, entrepreneurs, what you're doing with the Texas Black Expo is amazing work, because people also need to build relationships with these individuals, because it takes time.
Yeah.
You can't just go to one meeting or go to a luncheon, an impersonal luncheon, shake a hand of an executive, and then expect $1 million contract.
Yeah. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work like that. And so we just have to make sure that is done in a manner that is manageable for the owner, for the business, and the corporation, so that you can build whatever product long term.
Awesome. Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us on the Black Money Tree podcast. I always like to give you a little platform to give a shout out to any of the business ventures, anything you want. We didn't even talk about the 270 acres of land. So if you want to talk about that really quickly, talk about that and anything else you got going. That's your camera right there. What you got?
Perfect. Well, I want to thank you all, one, for trying to learn and absorb information. I don't take that for granted. We are all in this world of learning. I am currently a part of a team that's building 270 acres adjacent to UNT Dallas. Mike Hoke of Hoke Global. I work with him for the last 6 or 7 years to develop this holistic community in which we are creating single-family homes, multifamily homes, as well as retail, so that we can build a university. It's actually, the neighborhood's called University Hills. You said you like the hills in this area.
Yeah.
We're developing a community so that UNT Dallas can really have this university feel, and there are exciting community meetings and infrastructure things that are happening. So thank you for that platform. I just want to solve problems in real estate and building Southern Dallas.
Thank you so much, Matt Houston.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Black Money Tree podcast. Make sure you go to events at .texasblackexpo.com, register for our 2025 summer celebration, and like, share, and subscribe. Join the movement. Black Money Tree is on the move.